couple of texts and emails about the vaccination rollout, where things stand. Someone on the text line, sorry, I can't see your name, but it says, it's time for the governments to step out of the rollout for the COVID jabs, set the rules for high-risk groups, and then open it up to first in, best dressed. So step out of the way of the government. We mentioned earlier, some corporates are saying they want to step in to the void. They want to start vaccinating their staff. They just need the go-ahead. And Chris in Brisbane obviously disagrees with my view of what happened with Jeanette Young, the Queensland CHO today. Chris in Brisbane says full credit to Dr. Young for telling the truth. Lots of different views on that one. But I think no matter what your view on which side you sit on, I think we're all frustrated now that we've got lockdowns in, the breadth that we have them. 12 million people locked down right now. And even I see in Victoria, some of the restrictions that were being eased are just being, the easing is being paused. We're just going to wait and see what happens. But when you look at what's happening to businesses, small businesses in particular, this is all a financial time bomb. We haven't got JobKeeper wage subsidies. We've got varying restrictions that are all confusing as anything to try and follow and to try and stay on the right side of the law with. And it's all a very bitter pill to swallow if you're in business at the moment. So where are we at? Well, Michael Sardi's NAB's Executive for Business Banking, Metro Australia, so he looks after businesses in every major capital. Michael Sardi, welcome back to Money News.
Hi, Brooke. Nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, nice to have you on the program again. Have you had business customers calling you and asking you for extra support at this time?
Look, Brooke, if you have a look at what's actually gone on in the last, couple of weeks, really, fairly much most of Australia is in lockdown, as you would have been talking about. But, that's certainly been a major issue and devastating for not only individuals but also businesses, and some being impacted more than others. And those impacts have really ranged from, on labour, on part-time casuals that no longer have any work to get to, and also some companies that have been impacted by stock that might have been perishable and not being able to get it to the end user in time. But however, I think the thing that we are also seeing is that unfortunately we've had some practice at this, and that practice has certainly put us in a better position than the first time around. If you think, cast your mind back to would have been March of last year, in the space of 6 or 7 weeks, 900,000 Australians actually lost their jobs, and we're in a markedly different position today. And so what we're seeing is companies have really developed some muscle around every time they've had to go into lockdown. And to be perfectly candid, most people are now working from home. They're all set up. They've got their routines. They've got their processes all going. And during the last 12 months or so, our economy has actually grown and in a better position than pre-pandemic. And so a lot of small businesses have actually built a bit of a buffer, and that buffer has certainly been carrying them. And they've also developed different skills around getting their product into the end user's hands. And so they've all mobilised in terms of e-commerce and digital and all of those things. And I think one of the proof points will be, if you have a look down the street on recycle night, I guarantee you those blue recycle bins will be pretty full with packaging from all of the online shopping or all the goods that they've been purchasing online. So, and even to the degree like banks have had to mobilise pretty quickly as well. And just in the last 12 months alone, companies there's 200% increase in companies being able to take payment over the phone or card unseen. And so that sort of gives you a feel for what's actually going on in terms of the way in which they're getting things done.
So small businesses have built, they've developed an agility maybe they didn't have before, but you've got, you talked about building in buffers, but many that I speak to say that, those buffers were there, but with each lockdown that comes, that buffer gets depleted. And particularly in Victorian businesses, they're running pretty much on empty with stuff like that. And yet we're still in this position where we're not assured that this doesn't happen again. In fact, I think we can bank on it. It is going to happen all again.
And this is as everyone keeps describing the book, it's the new norm. But what we are truly seeing is that in Victoria, for example, if you think about the number of days that Victoria's actually been through lockdowns and the numbers that we had were, up to 4 and still got restrictions today. But the impacts seem to be quite concentrated on a geographic basis. So the thing that I think will occur post this is most CBDs will continue to suffer. And that is because confidence gets sapped out of the system. And also, people just change their routines pretty quickly and start to develop a new way of actually working again. And I have to say, in Victoria or in Melbourne CBD, there was a real move and a bit of momentum actually happening in Melbourne CBD. And then the fourth lockdown occurred. So it's going to take some real time. But the other flip side is that we also see, and we track this through transactional accounts, Brooke, every time that there is a lockdown, the bounce back is actually quite considerable, and we sort of see people getting back out there, spending, doing things again. But it is really a heightened issue in most CBDs around the country.
Just finally, Michael Sardi, and just briefly if we can, what are a couple of things the bank's offering to people who do feel like they're now on empty and they're worried about where things go next? What are 3 things potentially on offer from your bank or maybe some other banks that might be there for them?
And Brooke, the first thing that I would encourage everyone to do, anyone that is actually feeling like they need any assistance whatsoever, should be on the phone straight away to their bank or to their banker. And what we'll be doing is actually working with each individual customer to tailor something that's specific to their needs. Things like, stopping repayments and putting interest-only payments, all of those sorts of things. But we will tailor it based on each specific requirement. And I have to say, our bankers are there. They're ready. They're waiting to take these calls, but also to work hand in hand, with our customers. And I think you'll find that most banks are in that same position, Brooke. It's one of those things that we never ever hope that we get to, but there certainly will be customers out there that will need our help and our patience and to be able to work together.
Michael Sardi, NAB's Executive for Business Banking Metro Australia, thank you very much for your time on the line tonight.
Always good to talk, Brooke. Take care.